So, I want to talk to you very briefly today about money and about how that affects the human consciousness overall, and about what we should be doing as a collective to use money in a way that is fruitful for ourselves and for the greater good, if you will. So, basically, I live in Silicon Valley. I live in a place that is wrought with money, honestly, just floating around. We have a booming market, or we did. But we still pretty much do. We live in a first world country here on this side of the world, and money is very easily accessible. So I've seen people garner mass amounts of wealth. I've seen mass amounts of wealth in front of my eyes. I've just always grown up in a place where things were very affluent. And, in this way, you really start to discover, or at least I did, how money is just a tool, right? It's just a means to an end. It's a tool for survival. It's a tool for thriving. It's a tool for giving. It's a tool for being able to propagate things that are important to you and to be able to start movements and protests. So money is a very beautiful tool. And, if you've ever heard at all anyone shame money in any way, that is just because the level of understanding towards money is not entirely there. Money is actually Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is Vishnu's consort, so Vishnu's feminine energy. And if you have heard of Vishnu, if you've heard of Lakshmi, then you know what I'm talking about. So, why should Lakshmi or money be always respected? Well, because it is abundance. And we know now that in our world, so much is lacking in terms of balance on a scale of abundance. So many countries have mass amounts of wealth, and then so many other countries are living in poverty. And this is an issue because it is known that there is a global disparity. It is known that there is a huge wealth gap globally. This is not systemic in terms of, being segregated to small populations. This is a global issue. And so it is something to talk about, and it's something to actually never stop talking about until we can make sure, to some degree, that humanitarian efforts are being worked accordingly to be able to dispel money evenly throughout the world. And so going back to what money is, what is money? Money is also food. Money is life. Money is survival in that way. Say you're very sick and you need money to get better. Say you live in a third world country and you've grown up in a place where it has been difficult to even get enough food for the day. Then having mass amounts of money, having these scholarships that colleges provide students in first world countries, for example, would be really helpful and really beneficial. Actually, could even save lives overseas. So this is something that one could say lies on the scale of humanitarianism, but honestly, it doesn't. It just lies on the scale of logic. It's basically just very obvious. And if one were to claim themselves as a humanitarian for thinking in this type of way, then obviously the term humanitarian has been over-romanticized and underused, because humanitarian efforts are extremely noble, but they're also based on basic human survival. This is how we should be thinking all of the time. So money is something to share and to give because it is energy. That is what Lakshmi is. It is the feminine, abundant energy of the universe. This is factual. And it is to be given. It is to be harnessed and used accordingly. And actually, it is to be circulated. Because when we don't circulate money, it's like your blood flow. When you don't circulate your blood flow, parts of the body are not functioning as well as other parts of the body are. So your foot's asleep, but your brain is awake. But hey, you can't go for a walk because your foot's asleep. So in order for the whole working part to be functioning appropriately, ideally, all areas of the body are awake, alive, blood is flowing to each particular area. So we can think of our globe, we can think of our humanistic individual existence as being akin to a working human body, because in essence we are a collective. We've just been taught societally that we are separate. We've just been taught societally that we are different from one another just because we are encased in human bodies that may not be joint, but inherently. It is the same essence within each and every human body that is existing, that is prevalent, and that is, allowing the human body to be alive. This is the essence of life. Take a living man and a dead man. The only difference between the two is that the soul is present in one body and then it's gone from the other. It's transferred its state, because energy can never be created nor destroyed, right? So in this way, it's crucial, actually, especially with everything happening right now with COVID and whatnot, it's crucial that we come together as a collective and understand that we are different parts of the same whole. And actually, if you think about it, we're not that different. We're human beings. We all go through the same humanistic emotions. We feel the same things all of the time. We get sad. We get happy. We're very primitive in our underdeveloped mind, in our primitive mind, if you will, in our reptilian brain. But on the other hand, we each have the potential, the beautiful potential that animals, for example, don't have, of self-actualization and self-realization and understanding who it is that we are, why we came into our own existence, what we are to do here on Earth, etc. We are the only mammal that can hypothesize all of these things. And so it is our duty, biologically, to answer these questions, to go inwards and to actually find the answers to these questions on a very hermetized level, on a very individual level. And then once we all understand cognitively that, hey, we are the same, it becomes very obvious that things like this, which I'm speaking about, global efforts such as allocating resources, are to be done, are to be carried out, are to be employed. So this is something to really keep in mind. And I do understand that there are powers at play here that a lot of people, cannot measure up to because of the level of power that they have had for generations. And I'm talking about different families that have amassed wealth for generations. If you look at the wealth gap, it is so unbelievably exaggerated. So you have like the 1%, but hey, it's actually really not the 1%. It's like the 0.0001% that has most of the wealth in the world globally, from a global perspective. And then the rest of us don't. The rest of us are existing on varying levels of wealth. So like I said before, it's not about the wealth, because at some point you have so much money that you don't know what to do with it. And you die, you leave it for your kids, what have you. And then, of course, things are just propagated generationally. People spend money on things they don't need to spend money on. This concept of ego gratification and sense gratification is continuously fueled. People don't wake up and learn how to use money appropriately, or even what the goal of human life is, right? Which is kind of like the most important aspect, the most important thing that we should be learning and cultivating here. So these are all very serious issues, and actually we don't have much time, because time is the most important resource that we have. You might have heard this phrase before, time is money, because it is. Time is money. Time is the ability to move in a way that is progressive, to move in a way that is globally progressive, infinitely progressive, exponentially progressive for your lifetime here, as well as for the lifetimes of your beneficiaries, as well as for the lifetimes of your communities, societies, and globe, right? The earth in general, or its population. So this is just my 2 cents on money and what we can do to, make a difference. And honestly, it starts with each individual person. I do strongly believe that. Waking up happens on a very personal level, on a personal, deep, individual level. And we are society. Each individual person is society. You are society. So don't ever feel like you're helpless, because you're not. And don't ever feel like you are also too much of a, I guess you could say, dent in the system, or too much of a propagator of unnatural demonstrations, or, unnecessary or unhelpful demonstrations, because you're not. You are, just existing the same way everyone else is. But the thing is that you are society, and so is person B, and so is person C, and we can all do our own individual part, and it starts with changing the consciousness within. Our world is not going to change unless the individual consciousness does. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope this was helpful or a little bit entertaining at least, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.